So my parents joined choosing in the year 2002. So I usually follow them down here to children. But I never liked the church. The church to me then was boring. So along the line, 2015, I gained admission into the University of Port Harcourt. When I got to school, I noticed that my O-level results was not corresponding with the school requirements. So I had to stay back in school. But then, during my year one registration, I met two friends. One of them I never knew was a smoker. The other one was a lesbian. So when I continued my registration, I couldn't go further with it. I had to stop. And I was unable to tell my dad about it. So I stayed back in school. Then I started having sorrows and worries. Then I told one of the friends of mine, and she told me that if I can take this smoke, this weed, that all my sorrows, all my pain will go. And I forgot my identity. I forgot who I was. And I took it from her and I smoked it. And that same night, we went to the club, not knowing that our boyfriend was a cultist. So we went to the club. I was just dancing. Now, I remained in school. I didn't tell my dad that I was not fully a student. And I kept on collecting school fees, and I kept on collecting house rent. And I was living like a big girl's life, according to my mentality then. So I kept on. The other one, who was a lesbian, we started becoming partner. And along the line, 2018, I became fed up with her life. And I wrote another jam, and I passed the jam. And I told myself, why can't you give your life to Christ? And I gave my life to Christ. And there's this neighbor of mine who works with Manowar. I met him and I told him, sir, I want to give my life to Christ, but I like how you worship God. I want to join you with your church. I forgot choosing totally. I didn't remember choosing. And I followed this man to his church the following Sunday. When I got to the church, I saw people wearing trousers, ribbons, and I was happy, not knowing that the gods of this land has blinded my eyes and the gods of my father's house. I continued with that church. I went for their Bible school. I also went for their water baptism. On the day of the water baptism, I came out of the water. I started hearing voices of condemnation and so on and so forth. Then I was also going for classes, and I joined their campus fellowship. Then I struggled. When lecturers are teaching in the classroom, all I hear is a different thing. Things like you will die, prostitute, like condemnation words. So I was not concentrating with my academics. Till they called my dad. My dad came down to Port Harcourt and told me and encouraged me, my daughter, go to choosing, join their campus fellowship. I'm like, Daddy, I don't like that church. Even in my depression, I still hated choosing. I don't know why. So I was struggling, and I kept on going to classes. Then during my 300 level, I noticed that I couldn't continue anymore. Then I was having a 7 o'clock class. I was supposed to go to class that morning, but I couldn't go to the class. I went straight to the nearby market. Then I bought sniper. As I bought sniper, I came back to my lodge, and I poured it in a cup, and I drank it. As I drank this sniper, there was this woman that sells opposite my compound. She came and was hearing my voice. According to her, she said, this is the voice of death. And she quickly rushed inside and called some of our neighbors, and they took me to the school hospital. That was where I saw hell and heaven. And I was in pains. I was crying for mercy. I was in pains. I still didn't remember choosing. They have to call my dad again, who came down to the school hospital from Lagos State. And he told me, why didn't you go to choose him? I was not even answering him because the thing made me to hate him. I was not at peace with him. So I didn't say anything to him. My HOD also advised my daddy, and as well as the doctor in the hospital, told him that he should take me to Lagos until I'm fully recovered. Because for now, school is not for me. So I came down to Lagos State in the year 2023. And my daddy brought me to church. That was during Sorrow to Joy. As I came to church, a brother that I don't know gave me a apron. I wore the apron. And I was still hearing those voices condemning me. And I was in pain. So I couldn't stay to the end of the service. I went back home. The Spirit was telling me, go home, leave here, go home. Then I obeyed the voice and I went home. When I got home, I started vomiting foam. My neighbor called my dad and he came back home again and told me that this is the beginning of my deliverance. And I calmed down and I slept off that day. So I continued coming Tuesday service, Thursday, Wednesday deliverance service. I kept on coming, and as well as the help of my campus prayer warrior leader, he also encouraged me. And I kept on coming, praying, and serving this God, knowing that continuation brings freedom. And I believe in the word of my daddy. I started believing my daddy Gio very well. The word started sinking inside of me very well. I started disgusting those trousers, earrings, and all of those things. So one day, I burnt all of them, and I told myself, it is time to serve God fully.
Clap unto God of choosing. He's alive. Thank you, Father.
Now, another thing is that I also stopped smoking instantly, and lesbianism left me instantly.
Clap unto God of the choosing again.